a lot to just, get to make my movies and get respect and all of that. So I'm just thrilled that things are changing right now for all the women that are coming, around me and behind me, and I hope that it's easier every day. The underground was shot in Colombia, so I basically have a separate crew and a separate cast. The above ground was shot in Chile, very close to the place where the events really happen in the Atacama Desert, with a whole new cast and a whole new crew and everything. So it was basically like shooting two movies, because as you know from the story, the miners and the families and the rescuers, they never met except for day one and day 69 when they come out. So it was really interesting to shoot two movies and never knowing how they were going to connect with each other, So there was a lot of exploration also in the editing room as to creating the connections, moving from the darkest place in the world to the brightest place in the world also, because the Atacama Desert is certainly the brightest place in the world. We developed this movie for a while. It was really hard to get off the ground. We were trying to make it in Chile, and it just didn't happen. It was so expensive, and we couldn't find the right mines, because mines in Chile are very scary. They're very deep and dangerous. And then suddenly, we found out about these two amazing mines in Colombia. It was not only the tax incentive, but the fact that they have salt mines that are horizontal. They're not going deep. So we were inside a mine, miles into the mines. It would take us 15, 20 minutes to get out of there, if necessary, but it was not below. So that allowed us to think of the possibility of shooting the entire movie, not on a soundstage, but on a real mine. One of the most challenging things for sure was talking about real characters. First of all, everyone's alive, having so many of them, 33 characters below ground, plus let's say 100 more above ground, between rescuers and families and government and everyone. And being able to compress, I guess, all those experiences into a reduced number so that it would be understandable and clear when you watch a movie. Otherwise, you would be completely lost. So that was very challenging. The other thing was that we always wanted to be as truthful, as faithful, as respectful to the real story and the real characters. We really, every single choice we made was considering, is this true? Did this really happen or not? I can tell you 95% of what you see in the movie is true. So first thing that you realize is that you don't know anything, because what was reported in the news was filtered, it was filtered through the news. The miners didn't really say what was going on down there. They kept all the bad stuff to themselves. They're a group of men that have great dignity, a big sense of dignity, and as a group. So they didn't want to show to the world that they had conflicts or the problems that they endured, the fears, the tears, everything that happened when they were down there for 69 days. So all of that they kept as a secret to tell us. Basically, they said, we're going to make a movie, They knew that even before they came out. And we won't tell anyone anything until we have the right people, and then we'll give them all the stories. So I was, fortunate enough to sit with each of them privately, in a group, and then privately also with their wives, with their children, with their parents, and just get down to the most, painful, experiences of what they endured. So it is kind of a story that has never been told. Very rarely do we encounter people that went to hell and came back to tell us, because normally they don't, right? People, under these circumstances, they unfortunately never come back. These guys, did experience what basically being dead is, and coming, and they came back. So it's a just really precious information that we have. What I went through in this movie was, I feel, was beyond words, and it made me very strong. That's what I feel right now. That after being handling 33 men for, let's say, 35 days, 6-day weeks, 14 hours a day, down inside a mine that is dangerous and has no bathrooms, and they're basically semi-naked, all full of dirt and sweat. I mean, everyone's so uncomfortable dieting, because they had to be thin, so everyone's cranky. I mean, and all these Latin men on top of everything. I moved to the U.S. for a reason, right? To avoid, Latin men, and suddenly, I'm faced with 33. So it was really hard, and but I feel I'm very strong now. I feel like anything is easy after this movie. If we had shot in a soundstage, we are a small movie if you compare it to a studio movie, okay? So we had a very reduced budget for the hunger, and for the needs of our movie. So if I had shot in a soundstage, I would have had a certain, 100 feet of building set, of sets, So for instance, for my driving sequence of the collapse when everyone's trying to escape, what do I have? 200 feet, stop, that's it, start again, reverse. When you're working in a real mine, you have endless sets, you have endless tunnels and all kinds of different, areas to shoot in. So it was really a creative decision. The movie was going to be so much richer if we were able to get into a real mine, because we just didn't have the budget to build, properly.